Yeah, so we got into Bangkok, and so they got some money to us, and we were getting into saloons and drinking. And within, I don't know, very little time, they appointed me to a job in an office called Repatriated,
RAPWI.
Yeah, right, yeah. Allied Prisoners of War and Internees. Our job was to catalogue everybody, that was all the files that we got together, and to get people out of Bangkok, get them back home. So finished up, so I was one of the last to leave there.
Now, who was in charge of that group? Was it a major? Doesn't ring a bell.
No.
Yeah. Did you go back to non-combatant and record the names of everyone that was there, or?
No, I didn't go back to the line at all. So I just stayed working in this office, and I think we're feeding pretty well by then, of course, getting proper food, and so eventually they put us on a Fokker plane and flew us down to Singapore. And there we had a lot of mail to go through to get the first words from home, and that was great. And we waited for a ship.
What was the vessel you came home on?
I don't know, I don't remember. I think it was the Zealander who went up there.
Yes.
When we went up there. And I don't remember being seasick going home like we were going up.
Do you know roughly what date this was? How many weeks or months after the end of the war?
It must have been August. It must have been, that was August. So probably November, I think.
Yes. Wouldn't have been the Highland Chieftain, or does that ring a bell?
No, it doesn't.
No. Where'd you go? To Darwin, Perth?
No, to Fremantle.
Oh, you came straight to Fremantle. Yes.
Yeah, so yes, that was good. And then my mother was down the wharf, and once again it was to hear her voice. That was happening again too.
Yes.
So we had a couple of happiest moments on those occasions.
Yeah. So what was the date of your discharge?
I think it was early next year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was that because you were unwell? Were you recuperating at Hollywood Hospital or anything like that?
Into Hollywood Hospital to get rid of hookworm.
Yes.
And I don't even know whether I had it, but they treated us all with the hookworm. And in Hollywood, that's a vastly different hospital now, by the way, from what it was. So they looked after us there. And then, I went silly for a while. A bunch of fellows, relatively few West Australians who had been singles, we used to get together. We stayed at the Alhambra bar and have a few drinks there, because it wasn't easy to get drinks for the war. And my brother joined us. He was back, of course, from the 6th Division, and he used to join us. And so all of the good guys I've been away with, a couple of them were two fellows named Reeves. They're not related at all, but they're both wonderful guys. And they became obsessed. Reeves he's since married my cousin, so we became very close. But the other Jack Reeves, he was more like a father figure.
Yes. And
he used to talk to me like a father.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great. He'd sit on the edge of the bamboos and they get me a light, Chris. He used to get this boom tobacco.
Yes.
And if you got somebody who had a Bible, you got a page of the Bible to wrap a cigarette in.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll just backtrack over a couple of points that you raised. You mentioned that you observed Colonel Capt doing an amputation.
Yes.
Do you know Claude Anderson?
No, I went to see him after the war. I was sent to see him once.
Yes.
And I don't know why. But no, I didn't know him.
Well, Claude was with Green Force.
Oh, yeah. And I thought that was the force that Jack was with.
That's correct. Yeah. Because they were mainly 2nd, 4th fellows, and they'd been dropped off at Victoria Point.
That's right.
And Claude was given a rest from working with the mobile teams going down, and he actually assisted Colonel Coates with doing 60 of his amputations.
Did he?
Yeah, but you were talking about the patient smoking a cigar.
Yeah.
Colonel Coates used to smoke a cigar too, and so did Claude.
Oh, maybe their cigars.
Yeah, and it was partly to disguise the smell of the ulcers, because they used to smell pretty bad.
I bet they did, yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah. So you actually had close contact with Rowley Richards?
Yes, he was the fellow I knew. He was the doctor I knew.
Now Pinky Rhodes?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you remember anything in particular about Pinky?
Only the work that he was doing with ulcers.
Yes, yeah. Apparently they were meticulous. Rowley Richards never did an amputation.
No.
And they used to very carefully clean the slough out of the ulcers. And Rowley takes great pride in saying that he never had to amputate a limb. Now, did you have any contact while you were in Burma with the Dutch POWs?
Yes, we thought that their methods weren't as hygienic as ours. They seemed to use their dixies also to poo into, and probably that's quite alright to wash them up.
Yes.
And certain things like that, yeah.
And what about the coolies? Did you have any contact
None
with the
at all.
coolies?
None
at
at
all.
Oh, only with when I became a job in the canteen,
Yes.
and there were two of us running the canteen, and we would go down to the boundary and meet these natives bringing the eggs and chittigar and tobacco, and we'd negotiate with them and get prices, and we'd take baskets down and they'd count the eggs into the baskets and that sort of thing. And so it was our only contact. That was just with the sellers of the food that we wanted.
Yes. Now,
And but at this stage, by the time we had a canteen, we also had a kind of a hot food thing where the eggs when you could buy a cooked egg.
yes.
If you had some money.
Yes.
Field money.
Yes. The Japanese money, was it? Yes. Did you have any contact with any of the HMAS Perth survivors?
Yeah, that's how I first met. We were talking about Arthur Bancroft, which I knew him as Blood Bancroft. Apparently that was.
That's how he was known. Blood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Red hair.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And he was on BP Day. We went along to the convention centre, and they had a show there to celebrate. And Arthur Bancroft was there.
Yes.
As one of the speakers.
Yes.
And I hope to get to see him afterwards, but with the crowd there, we didn't manage it.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's still about.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I saw him yesterday.
Oh, yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. I just got him to go sign a book for someone.
Yeah. We used to go onto the Gloucester Park. The Second Fourth used to have an annual dinner there, luncheon.
Yeah.
And they used to invite any other people to come along.
Yes.
And they used to catch up with Blood Bancroft there. He'd go along and we'd go along from out there. And that went on for several years, but things have changed since all of our people have gone, and just two of us left.
And is that Harry Davey?
Harry Davey.
Yeah.
There's one other fellow, Arthur Smith.
Yeah.
His wife died about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
As a daughter at the East, and he spends half his time over there and half his time here at Rothorpe, I think it is.
Yes.
That we never see him. We were never close.
Yeah. Did you have any contact with any of the Americans? There was only 300 Americans up there, but did you have any contact with any of them?
Yes, it did. There were some of them along the line. But no continuing friendships or anything like that.
Yes.
No, but the sailors we saw.
And what was the worst thing? Would you be able to tell me the worst thing that you experienced?
Oh, the worst thing was the burial of these 8 fellows executed.
Yeah.
That was the worst thing.
And what positive things did you take out of being a prisoner of war? Were there any positive things?
I think the mateship, especially with my friend Sid Marshall,
Yes.
because we kept in touch ever since. And he's been over and stayed with us, we've been over and stayed with them.
Yeah.
He became secretary of the Ex-Prisoners War Association New South Wales. He became president of it. So he was very active with that.
Yes.
But he's finally gone. He had a lot of illness.
Yes.
Yeah, when we stayed with him, his wife looked after all the drugs for him and bring out a handful of different coloured pills at the appropriate meals. So he suffered a lot.
Going back to talk about the line, do you remember any time when the Allies were bombing?
Yeah, I didn't see as much of it as some others that they bombed, because they bombed at Canberra, didn't they?
And Tamakan and
Tamakan, yeah.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, I think I missed that.
Yes. What about, there was another place called Non Pladuk.
Oh, yes.
That was bombed, quite a lot of casualties there. But I don't think that Non Competon was bombed.
No, I was never president of bombing.
No. You don't remember some bombing up at Tun Bazaar?
No. No, I don't. Surely I would remember if I had been there.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of detail. I can't remember about shaving. I know that having a glass tumbler,
Yeah.
you can put a razor blade in and run it around and get some sort of.
Yes.
And I know I didn't ever grow a beard.
Yes.
Somehow or other, I managed to shave. And one of the fellows Jack Schurmann, had a cutthroat razor.
Mm.
I think he carried it right through. And he used to use that. And another fellow had some hair shears. He did my hair one day and left a broad arrow in it. I was unconscious of that.
Yeah.
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 That was Seth Reeves did that to me.
Yes.
All in good fun. Yeah, so a lot of the detail like that. But I do remain detail was lack of soap,
Yes.
lack of toothpaste,
Yes.
that thing, lack of toilet paper,
Yes.
lack of reading matter. There's so many things that everyday things we just didn't have.
Yeah. Now you had you met Phil Bealby before you met him down at the Army Museum?
No.
Well, he carried a clarinet with him right through the Burma end of the line, and only parted with it when he was on one of the ships that was torpedoed on the way to Japan. But you don't remember anyone
But I remember
having a clarinet?
I guess
think?
there must have been Tambasite at the end of the line.
Yeah.
A concert being held there.
Yes. Yeah.
And this Sid Marshall, my friend, was in it.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's when the musical instruments and show would have been coming
Yeah.
to life.
Yeah.
I remember that, but I think it must have, certainly it wasn't at a camp along the line.
No.
It must have been at the end of it, but I do remember that.
Yes.
And it's well known of all the concerts they had at Changi, of course. At Changi they had a lot of music
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and a piano and so on, didn't they?
That's right.
Yeah.
Did you know of Rowan Rivette? Or you knew he wrote a book after the war, but
Yeah.
did you know of him when you were on the line at all?
No. Maybe I read his book.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I didn't know him. I don't think I knew any of the authors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Jack, I think we've pretty much covered everything. Is there anything you wanted to particularly mention as a wrap to the interview?
No, except that it was a pretty important 3.5 years of my life.
Yes.
In total, including the 5.5 years, including the training and so on. It was quite a bit out of my life. No girls from all those years. And
Yes.
that's why it was, we didn't meet Horace till 1940.
Yes.
And we married in 1948, so I didn't have all those courting years with a whole bunch of other women.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And were you a sportsman before the war?
No.
No.
No, I was never a sportsman, never had any money. We have depression children.
Yes.
And it certainly was a split up with my parents too.
Yes.
Was that I didn't have any male pushing me into sport.
Yeah.
Father said, and those times everything was worry for the future, how we didn't have the social security we've got now.
No.
Things were so different. And so we thought everything was secure. Look, but so after I was working and so on with kids, I started to insure, we take out policies to term policies to cover them when they were getting married or whatever. And I said, oh, you shouldn't have done that. We could have invested. And
Yes.
it's all right now.
Yeah.
And, that's what looked ahead. Flat. So once I started work, I was never without work after that.
Yes.
So I was fortunate. Like Albert, I have had a fortunate life in many ways.
Like Albert
Facey,
Facey, yes,
yeah.
yes. Yeah. Well, that's a lovely point probably to finish the interview.